Wow, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Lai. I'm with Engadget and also with the crew from Oath, which is the new name of the merger between AOL and Yahoo. So, but enough about me. Today, I'm extremely honored to have two gentlemen on my right. We've got Brad Smith, who's the president of Microsoft, and also Daniel Seah, who's the CEO of Digital Domain. Before we start, I'd like to remind you all that we'll be taking questions from the floor, but you have to submit your questions through the Rise app, which is powered by Slido. So in a moment, I'll be keeping an eye out on these screens over here, and if we see any very interesting questions, I'll be able to pick your question out. So I guess we'll get the ball rolling by getting you guys to talk a little bit about your involvement in the AI world from your respective companies. Brad, do you want to start us off by telling what you guys have been working on?
Well, I think 2018 is the year of sort of AI everywhere, and certainly at Microsoft, I think that's the case. In part, it's a matter of AI, taking AI and infusing it into all of our existing apps and services. If you use PowerPoint today and you drop a couple of pictures on a slide, you'll immediately see something come up that uses machine learning that'll give you 5 different choices about how to display those photos. We use this, for our own services internally in everything we do inside Microsoft. We are creating what are basically AI-fueled applications. If you want, you can download onto your phone a product called Microsoft Translator. It actually works extremely well. You can talk into the phone in one language, and it will translate for you in up to 61 other languages.
61.
You can speak into it, it'll display the text, it'll speak to somebody else. But actually, I think the most important thing we're doing is creating all of the AI-level platform services and tools. So you don't have to use our translator to use our language translation. You can use the API and access it yourself. And that's true for basically every piece of AI that we make.
Okay. And I guess Daniel,
Hi.
it's very. I was a little surprised, perhaps, is to have you here because
Thank you.
for those who don't know, Digital Domain, it's the team behind all the visual effects of some of the biggest movies out there.
Thank you.
I guess I'm sure most of you would have already seen the Avengers: Infinity War.
Yes, this is done by us.
Deadpool, and what else?
Ready Player One. That one
Ready
is
Player
cool.
One.
Yes.
Yep. These are all
Watch it?
excellent movies. So congratulations, sir, for these excellent movies. But so where does AI come into what you guys do?
There's nothing can compare with Brad because, of course, DD, we are a beginner entering to the AI field. But one application that we are actually seeking for a partnership, and actually we are actually looking into the AI application, which is a virtual human. So virtual human is a very new thing in Hollywood industry. So I'm wondering, how many of you have watched the film The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? Anybody? Great, then it's easier for me to explain. So in that film, Brad Pitt, right, he was born like at the age of 90-year-old. And he, in the movie, is going by that he's getting younger and younger and younger, right? So I think some things I'm going to share with you guys, you're going to be surprised because that movie, Brad Pitt only participates less than 20%.
Really?
The participation that he has is only in his real age. The rest of the Brad Pitt is completely virtual human, made by Digital Domain. So that was a film that we shot 2008, and our technology in the last 10 years is about how to use post-production to create a virtual human. But this year, this April, this is why I invite you, Brad. This April, we have a major technology breakthrough, which is that we can be able, not simply using the film engine to create a virtual human, but we can using the Unreal, like the gaming engine, right? We can do it by live. We can actually remove the helmets, the motion capture suits. We don't even need the dots for the virtual performance for an actor. We can, by using single camera to capture someone's face and to transform this character to another. So think about that is exactly why we are a beginner into the machine learning and also AI fields, because think about it, the application, not only in film industry, that in the future that a lot of actors and actresses can be replaced, right? For example, it has happened already that a lot of celebrities, because they have such a short time, so we scan them, and then we actually use a body double or facial double to perform for them, right? But think about how AI and machine learning can apply in the future for social platform, for hotel concierge, right? In the airports, right? And for the concierge hospitality idea, that it can be massive.
Yeah.
So that is why we are looking for a lot of investor and partnering recently to go for this part. And we have little, we have showed the results to the Rise yesterday in the central stage. It's kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of collaboration do you think that could potentially work between DD and maybe Microsoft? I guess with what you mentioned about translation and your potentially concierge service, maybe you can have someone who can serve the guests without knowing the languages that they speak in.
Yeah.
Powered by Microsoft. So.
Exactly. That would be my honor, first of all. Right. And
We'll get started.
thank you. But to be very honest, that so virtual human, there's a theory called uncanny valley, right?
Yeah.
In the past, that a lot of people trying to do something similar, but they failed because human behavior, they only trust like a human-like, a photoreal virtual character, or a character. So if this is animated, it's maybe cute or fun, but is only human is how people accept, for the hospitality. So there are two applications I can immediately think of. So we are very lucky to have the former EVP of Facebook, John Lackling, join us, our company as a board director. He mentioned that, think about if Siri, I'm just making an example, if Siri, the Apple Siri, got a face, and think about that if this virtual Siri can be someone that you love. It can be someone who passed away, your family member, or your young daughter, right? Barely can talk right now. But this Siri can be with you. You can check what is the flight from LA to Hong Kong, right? What option do I have? What is the weather in New York right now? And there is someone that you love responds to you. And that can be application. And also that for, just like what you mentioned, there are so many businesses that are rely on a very high labor cost. So hotel business, for example, is a high labor cost. If we can have celebrity, Brad Pitt, for example, right, Angela Jolie, can be that virtual character, and you can have a call center in Southeast Asia, then all those callers can be able to control those celebrities to be that hospitality business. That would be fantastic to me.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see some questions. Thank you very much for these. Maybe we could get a little slightly technical, especially I guess if Brad, if you're okay with that, because I see one question asking what differentiates the AI engines of say AWS versus Microsoft and IBM, because apparently the algorithms seem to be pretty much similar. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, I actually think that there's an AI race going on, and you have those three companies. You have Google, certainly you have Alibaba, and others. Yeah. And ultimately, one way to measure somebody's success with an AI solution is, frankly, to measure the error rate. What's the error rate in identifying people's faces? What's the error rate in translating language? What is the error rate in identifying images on a photograph? What is the error rate in reading comprehension? All of these things can frankly be reduced to a numeric race. And you're going to see variation. I think one of the things that we're proud about right now is that across the board, you do tend to see Microsoft very consistently at the top. And that's basically a reflection of the 20 years we've spent on a lot of these fundamental computer science fields. We're now at a point where we're basically matching the capability of human beings, meaning vision recognition will be at 96 or 98%. Now, what makes for that success? Well, of course, people focus on algorithms, but that's just a piece of it. Yeah. You certainly have to have big data sets. There's a strong correlation between a higher accuracy and a very robust data set. You have to have a diverse data set. especially in a number of areas. If you don't reflect the diversity of the world, you're going to have a higher error rate. That's why one of the big issues in the field right now is, frankly, in facial recognition, the error rate for women is higher than for men. The error rate for people of color is higher than for people with lighter complexions. You then, of course, have to have people who can train the models, and you have to then tune the algorithms. But it is a variety of pieces that have to come together. And there is real differences, in my view, in the performance of these different systems today.
I see. As you speak of data set, Daniel, like for when it comes to capturing, I guess, materials for creating your virtual humans,
Yes.
how much work do you guys put into building up this database to get all the expressions and all the...
Yeah, it's a very good question. So it's basically not related with AI yet. It's more like a machine learning process. So human face is very complex, right? So we have an entire virtual human team. It's like 60 of them. They're separated to digital hair department, eyeball, skin, right? Mouth, tongue, right? So it's interesting to know about how human emotion affects their face. So we are partnering with USC. They have a system called ICT. And we have been partnered with them for the last 2 decades. So we have nearly 40,000 database for facial expression. And then we have scanned, in the last 2 decades, we have scanned more than like 480 people, right? So that data is very important to us. In the past, every single expression, human expression, we have to manually, digitalize it. But because of, thank God that we have the machine learning capability, partner with a lot of company, that we can be able to predict someone when he or she speak of something, then the computer can do a simulation of what her virtual performance can be. I mean, for her exactly his expression. So we can predict that right now.
I see. Following on that, I think I briefly saw a question pop up earlier about the potential controversy of creating these digital avatars based on someone's likeness.
Right.
Have you guys run into any kind of, not necessarily legal issues, but I want to get your
ethical issue?
Well, yeah, like how surely not everyone will be, especially say like as fans of celebrities who have already passed away. I'm sure behind the scenes you've already made agreements on that.
Right.
How do you both feel about the that kind of potential controversy of seeing, especially especially when you're enabling these avatars with almost purely AI rather than having someone acting behind, so as in not using them as puppets. Do you think that there could be potential issues of interacting with these avatars that are based on AI? And like, how do you make sure that the AI does not reflect poorly on that person's real characteristics?
Well, it's obviously your field, not mine, but I would offer just a few questions one can think about. First, if you're talent, if you're an actor, somebody who shows up at conferences, will you own your own image?
Yeah. Right.
I think that people will basically insist on owning their own image, and therefore, if their image shows up in a movie or at a conference, you'll probably see some aspect of intellectual property law address that, so that people get to license that and not have it be pirated, if you will. I think you're going to probably have some ethical questions. Yeah. In other words, is there a way of knowing whether someone who is talking to you or interacting with you is the real person or an avatar? Right. Now, Hollywood is one thing because movies are all about fiction. It's about making something appear real. But there's lots of other situations where one can easily imagine the potential for confusion. I can just imagine what it will mean in the workplace a decade from now, or with your spouse, trying to say, oh, that wasn't me, it was my avatar. There's a whole generation of questions we may find ourselves addressing in the future.
It's kind of already happening, though, like with Google Assistant.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is.
So, and what was the most interesting about the Google Assistant episode was how quickly there was basically a public reaction that said, if we are talking to, we'll call it an avatar for this purpose, or a bot, we have a right to know as human beings that this is not a human being that we are interacting with. And when you just saw the pace of Google's change, I think that was a reflection of the degree to which in the tech sector people are saying, I get it. We do have something here that we're going to have to keep real so that people know who they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Well, do you think will there ever come a day when we no longer have to make such a declaration, telling people that you're talking to a fully AI person instead, or I don't know, because what the services you mentioned earlier. Is basically
it's funny that the question I got after my speech yesterday, right, about how we can control someone else's digital avatar, and I will show our real. And everybody, all the reporters asked me the question, says whether or not I'm going to help any government to make it fake news. This is funny. And then, yes, in the last 5 years, we have made 2 dead celebrities alive. One is Tupac, right, in the Coachella Festival 2012. Another one is Chinese legend Teresa Tan, right? And we made her alive as well, as performed with Jay Chou. The way we are dealing with this kind of dead celebrity, virtual human, is we handle it very carefully. First of all, we partner with their family. Second of all, we avoid anything that will cause the bad image, right? And in the last, I would say, 10 years, we have scanned more than 40 celebrities in Hollywood and 20 in Asia. So the way we partner with them is they, regardless how many percentage we own, their virtual likeness, or they own, right? It's like a profit sharing, but they have a veto rights. We cannot do anything that they don't like.
So they
have a veto rights.
That's very important.
But in the future, just like what Brad just said, I totally can foresee that in the future, in the virtual world, that you're not even knowing who you're talking to is a he or she or even a it. There will be one day we're going to have a huge ethical issues, but it won't stop us from moving forward because this is how the technology goes, right?
Oh, as long as there's a strong framework, legal foundation and whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's all the time we've got for today.
Yeah.
I think it's been a very, very interesting conversation. I'd like to thank Brad and Daniel again for their time. And thank you, everyone, for turning out here.
Brad,
thank you for your questions as well. Thank you.
Richard.